there's kind of three areas that I see that we can really use our imagination and it can help us. The first area is rest. And because so often we can physically stop doing things or we can give ourselves a rest, but our mind is still so busy, our mind is overwhelmed with things. And so I love using my imagination to either write down what's bothering me and then actually picturing putting it in Jesus's hands, or even imagining that I am somewhere different than maybe my office with things to do or my home, like closing my eyes for a few minutes just to breathe and imagine myself in one of my favorite places, whether that's in the woods in Germany or by the beach, by the waves. And just doing that for even just 3 minutes, when I stop and breathe and imagine myself somewhere calm and safe and beautiful, it really helps reset me. It calms any anxiety I may be feeling, and it helps me just kind of come out of that time refreshed and ready to face whatever is before me. The second area that I think our imagination can be so powerful is when it comes to our relationship with God. And I love throughout scripture that there's metaphors, there's example, it talks about God, gathering us under his wings, catching our tears in a bottle. And so as we're reading scripture, really using our imagination to picture what that would feel like, what that would look like, what that tells us about God or about Jesus, it can be such a powerful activity. And then the third area that our imaginations can be so powerful is in our creative work, in our writing. And it doesn't just apply to the work itself, but even to how we're coming into the work, how we're thinking about ourselves, how we're thinking about our work. I did an in-depth exercise in the mastermind last week where we really looked at, how are you feeling about your project? How are you talking to yourself about your project? And then pausing and taking time to imagine, how could this be more fun? Are there things that you can add to your writing practice that would make it more fun, more light? And so I really wanted to share that with you this week, to maybe take some time and just reflect on the power of your imagination, reflect on maybe how God's inviting you to use your imagination in your rest, in your relationship with him, and even in your creative work. A final illustration of the power of imagination and kind of our minds is, there's a copywriter I follow, and he makes his living creating sales copy, marketing copy for companies, for businesses, for coaches. And he decided, I have this skill where I'm using it to persuade and like show people the futures they can have, their imagination. Why am I not using this in my own life? And so he actually wrote kind of a sales letter to himself, to spark his imagination, to spark his energy, his commitment to actually create the life that he wanted, to be the person he really felt he was and who he could be. And I love that idea, that idea of taking some time and dreaming with God, imagining with God, and then writing it down, making it clear. So I encourage you this weekend, take some time to dream, to intentionally use your imagination, whether that is resting, whether that is reading scripture with fresh eyes and really visualizing yourself with God, or even in your creative work, noticing, how is my imagination engaged in my creative work, and are there ways that I can further engage it or use it to help motivate and encourage me. Okay, my friends, I hope you have a wonderful Friday, and remember to stay curious, use your imagination, and keep